This afternoon is turning particularly busy for our viewing area, especially in the northeastern corners of our area. We've been watching and tracking this storm for a while as it was tracking through some of the southern portions of Livingston Parish. And now as it's entered Tangipahoa, it's really started to strengthen. And we've been talking about these storms having this hooking characteristic. That's exactly what we're seeing, just like the storms we saw a little bit farther up towards the north. This is where we're having rain, maybe potentially some hail. And in this area, where it's hooking around right in the center of that tornado warning, if there was a tornado, that is where it would be located. A lot of rotation now ongoing, enough rotation to prompt the National Weather Service to issue a tornado warning. This goes into effect through 2:30, St. Tammany, Tangipahoa, and even into Washington Parish. That's where this tornado is moving. It is moving at a very fast forward speed as well, just like all the other storms. You see it there. We're going to tell you where some of these places could be. Laranger at 148, 155 in Husser, and then at 215 in Richardson. So you need to be prepared for that. Tornado warning has been issued for your location. If you've got that warning on your phone or even a NOAA weather radio or however you're seeing it or even watching this, you need to take shelter right now. These storms are very dangerous. We've already seen significant tornadoes roll through some of our viewing area today. And it looks like we might have just had another tornado warning there, Malcolm.
Yes, so this tornado warning that Balin was just talking about, that's for central Tangipahoa Parish, central and eastern Tangipahoa Parish, east of the I-55 corridor. So a lot of the major towns north of Hammond along the I-55 corridor not directly going to be impacted by this storm anymore. It's moving into more rural parts of Tangipahoa Parish. However, a new tornado warning just now has come out for St. Helena Parish and southeastern sections of Amite County in Mississippi. This includes communities like Magnolia, Macomb, Summit. This is also going to go into Pike County a little later on down the line. Those are the two cells. We've been actually watching these for about the last 30 minutes or so, waiting for these areas of rotation to tighten up, and they've done it enough to where the National Weather Service has felt, yes, they do warrant tornado warnings now. And you see that juxtaposition of red and blue? I'll turn on a different version of this. You might be able to see it a little more clearly. And that's where the area of rotation is, to the northwest of Greensburg. I don't think this is going to be an issue for Greensburg. But northern sections of St. Helena Parish, you need to be taking shelter right now. I'm going to call out some specific road names. Near LA Highway 43, 441, County Road 171. If you live near Sterling Road in St. Helena Parish, your time is running out. The tornado or potential tornado is right on your doorstep. Newman Road, Browning Lane, that's getting into Mississippi. If you live near these roads, you need to take shelter. If you've gotten that alert for the tornado warning, that threat is there for your location.
Yeah, we've really seen these storms ramp up this afternoon, Malcolm. The cloud tops, that's something we've been looking at. Generally, the higher the clouds go, the more strong they get, and we've been seeing those cloud tops continually go up. And a lot of these storms are starting to get tornado warned now, including this storm here. We're now going to go and show you some areas where these storms
we got a new scan,
could
so
be heading into the area. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to have to redraw this because we just got a new scan.
Yeah, that looks like it's really starting to have a little bit of a hook as well. So 151, that is going to be near Gillsburg, 201 in Mixon, 206 Irene, 208 Magnolia, 211 in Fernwood, 214 in Macomb, and then finally at 2:16 p.m. this will be in Summit. This is a very dangerous storm. It has a lot of rotation with it. If you were in any of the towns or cities I just named, it is time to take cover. These are not storms you want to play around with. We've already seen storms in our viewing area producing tornadoes and a lot of damage as well. And these aren't just brief weak spin-ups. These have the chance to be significant tornadoes. So if you have had your phone go off or however you see alerts from either this storm down here in Tangipahoa or this storm in portions of St. Helena and southeastern portions of Amite County, it is time to get into your safe space. This is a very dangerous situation. Don't have a confirmed tornado on the ground just about yet, but this is what you need to do. You need to go in the lowest floor of your home, especially most interior room, exactly where that green check mark here is. Best place that you definitely want to go. Bathroom if preferred. plumbing in the walls, hold up the walls a little bit better. Also, make sure that you are wearing shoes as well. Malcolm?
Yeah, and let's also emphasize here, we've been talking about it all morning long. Mobile homes are not safe during tornadoes, especially if you're not on a site-filled foundation anchored down to it. It's not safe. So the mobile home's not sturdy. Cars also not safe. There have been ongoing tornadoes in Mississippi this afternoon. I saw one image on X of this car that was just battered. It got tossed around by a tornado. Luckily, the driver walked away from it. That's a very lucky driver, though. But again, that's what we advise. Putting as many walls between you and the outside of your home as possible, and stay away from windows. Get to the lowest floor interior room of that sturdy structure. Balin, let's pull back up the conventional display. I want to go back to that Tangipahoa Parish tornado warning. We were seeing that hook echo appearance. It literally looks like a little fish hook, and you can see it right there. It does look a little bit cluttered, and that's just due to its proximity to the radar. We're getting a sampling very close to ground level, but if there were a tornado, and this is still radar indicated at this point, it would be right there. I don't even want to show you the velocity data because there's a lot of contamination in there, and we really won't get much value from that. But basically what we're seeing right now with the conventional display is a hook echo right there, an area of rotation to the east of Independence. We're talking central Tangipahoa Parish, and this is going to move out of the WBRZ coverage area before too long. Let's go back to the north, to St. Helena Parish, where we have that other circulation now, Balin. And there's that second tornado warning in progress. So we're talking northern St. Helena Parish. This is north of Greensburg. I don't think any folks in Greensburg have problems right now. But near the state line between Amite County and St. Helena Parish, that is where the possible tornado is located. That is where it would be. We just called out a couple of road names just a moment ago. Balin, if we could zoom in just a little bit tighter, I'm going to call out a few more of them because you really got to take shelter. We've had confirmed tornadoes in the storm station coverage area today. So we're talking Pine Hill Road. Balin, if you could read that road name.
Yeah, that's Newman Road. You also got Wildwood Lane.
And let's go farther downstream too, because a tornado is in these regions right now. We kind of want to give, I want to give a heads up to the folks out ahead of this too.
Got Highway 584 as well. That's another place that it's going to be going towards. And then we zoom in here, Pine Hill Road going across the state line. And again, that Highway 584. And then McMillan Road, that's another place. Grange Hall Road, Slaughterhouse Road. It is all moving in your location. And if you got that warning, it is time to take shelter.
Broaden out the view again, just not the whole, but just a little bit. Right there. There's the hook right there. That has crossed over the state line. Put on the velocity display for me, Balin. I'm curious what that looks like. We've been watching this tighten up over the last little while, and yep, there it is right there. So the reds are indicating winds going away from the radar. Radar located in Hammond to the southeast. The blues indicating winds going towards the radar. This is a tightening area of rotation. We have had storms that have produced tornadoes in the capital area today. We have a very volatile environment. It is very important that you take shelter from these thunderstorms today. Can we just see what the debris tracker looks like? I'm curious if we're seeing any debris signatures. Hopefully not, and I don't see anything. I would need to see a almost whitish blue in this region in order for there to be a debris signature. Doesn't mean a tornado is not occurring right now. It just means we don't see debris being lofted. So that's good news. So let's show you what's going on in the Baton Rouge Metro, too, if we can pull up the conventional display, because we're on air for 2 tornado warnings right now. One in St. Helena Parish in Amite County, the other in Tangipahoa Parish. But we have storms rolling through Baton Rouge right now. We have no severe thunderstorm warnings in Baton Rouge at the present moment, but there is heavy rain falling. We can hear it on the rooftops here at Channel 2. We will need to watch these storms closely as well. I really think the area along and north of I-12, getting east of Baton Rouge, has a really favorable tornadic environment this afternoon. It gets even more favorable going into Mississippi. In fact, we have several long-track tornadoes ongoing right now just outside of the WBRZ coverage area into Mississippi. Look at all those red polygons. I believe that one, just west of Meridian, was the one that produced the tornado in Tangipahoa Parish. Or it might have been this one.
Is that one just northwest of Hattiesburg?
Or just northwest of Hattiesburg?
And then that other one we cut in far, which is now directly west of Hattiesburg, that one might have a tornado on the ground as well.
So we were on air for these two earlier. And now, I mean, there's still tornado warnings, so you get the idea. These tornado warnings just don't simply go away. We're going to stick with you. That's our promise to you at the Storm Station. We will give you the information to help keep you and your family safe as long as there's a threat to any location in our coverage area. And until the threat exits, we're going to stick here on the air with you. Again, 2 tornado warnings in progress right now. Looks like they just updated the St. Helena one. It looks like St. Helena Parish is not included now within this, but Amite County is, and Pike County too. If you know anybody out in that direction, out towards Macomb, if you live in Macomb and you happen to be watching us, you need to be sheltering as well. This is a dangerous situation. Again, 2 tornado warnings in progress. I'm going to step off screen here and check and see if we got anything from the Weather Service chat room.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing an increase in activity across the area with these 2 tornado warnings. We're going to first, once again, focus in on this southern tornado warning. It's almost out of our coverage area at the very east central portions of Tangipahoa Parish. And the area we are watching is where the storm is what we call is hooking. It has this little comma shape to it, and it's where the storm is physically rotating. And you can see this in our traditional radar view. The rotation is physically bringing this rain around, and that's how you know this storm is rotating as well. It might be far enough away from the radar now, Malcolm, where maybe you can get an idea on the potential for rotation by bringing up velocity, basically looking at...
Yeah, a lot of range folding there.
Yeah, a lot of times when you get a storm like this really close to the radar, you can have a lot of interesting signatures pop up, and it can be hard to tell exactly what's going on. So honestly, this traditional radar view is a little bit better for looking at rotation, especially in this case when it's just so close to the radar. It's definitely rotating. Like I said, rain is being pulled around this area of rotation. It's at the extreme east central portions of Tangipahoa Parish. Up next, out of the viewing area, look at Franklin. That's a pretty populated town there. It's going to be moving very close to Franklin. I've been there several times, and if you are watching this in Franklin, it is time to take cover. This is a very dangerous supercell storm in the same exact environment that we saw those other storms produce tornadoes in northern Tangipahoa and moving into southern Mississippi as well. You do not want to play around with any of these storms. It is time to take cover. Get in the southern or the lowest portion of your home, center of your home with the most interior room as well. That's going to be your best case. Just put on a storm track here. Thanks, Malcolm. 216 at Franklin. You got about 15 minutes. And the way the storm is looking, it's looking like all these other storms. It's not confirmed that it's on the ground yet, but by the time it reaches Franklin, it very well could already have a tornado on the ground. So you need to be prepared. You got about 15 minutes of lead time there in places farther towards the southwest. Even if it's a more rural area, I know you might live out there. So be prepared right now for a potential tornado on the ground for this storm. Now we're going to move into this other storm. This one's also about to exit the coverage area. Very extreme southeastern portions of Amite County. Interesting little signature there. You see that? That is definitely a rotational signature. You have your winds blowing.
It's not as strong as it once was, and that's a good thing, but it's still there.
Yeah, definitely, Malcolm. You have those winds blowing away, winds blowing towards, and right in the center, that's where we could potentially have a tornado on the ground. Both of these warnings not completely confirmed just yet, but there's a chance it happens, just like all these other tornadoes that we have been seeing. Now I'm putting a storm track on here, and we're basically going to tell you exactly where these storms, or this storm in particular, will be moving. 204, that's going to be near Terry's Creek. 214, Magnolia. 217, Fernwood. At 222, the big city of Macomb. And then 225 in Berdens. So if you live in any of these cities or towns, it is time to take cover. I mean, we just had a significant tornado roll through Tylertown just to the east, and this storm, like I've been saying, is in a very similar environment.
Hey, Balin.
It is time to take cover.
I want to mention, too, because when we give these times, some people may also be watching this on our streaming platforms, whether it be Facebook Live or YouTube. You've got to look at the timestamp, too, because sometimes there's a 1 to 2 minute delay on those streaming. So we've got the timestamp here on the top right-hand portion of the graphic. And Match that up with the current time, because there might be a slight delay, not a big one, but a little bit. But, you know, in situations like these, sometimes minutes matter, and that's why we want to emphasize that to you. So, you know, if you know anybody who lives out in Macomb, roughly 20 minutes, 2:22 would be the estimated time of arrival should this particular storm drop a tornado. Again, let me show you the wide perspective. The strongest thunderstorms are on the far northeasternmost sections of the Channel 2 coverage area, and there's this line of thunderstorms moving through the Baton Rouge metro. Not even a severe thunderstorm warning with this. That is good news. We'll see if this flares up anymore, but what I do like to see is a linear structure to this. And with these lines of thunderstorms, sometimes they pose more of a wind threat than they do a tornado threat. When these cells are more literally cellular in nature by themselves, we call these discrete supercells, they tend to find themselves in an environment where they can produce tornadoes a little bit more favorably. So for right now, we have no severe thunderstorm warnings, no tornado warnings for Baton Rouge, but of course our coverage area spans a much bigger area than Baton Rouge, and we've got this tornado warning in effect for Amite County and also Pike County. We also have this in eastern Tangipahoa Parish. I believe actually very shortly the threat will be moving out of the storm station coverage area. Let's go back to that southern storm, Balin. As he's just zoomed back in there, the threat is very close to the eastern edge of the Tangipahoa Parish. So about to move into Washington, St. Tammany Parish, Franklinton. If you know anybody who lives out in that direction, they need to seek shelter now. In fact, Balin, if our memory serves me correctly, the storm's moving at 40 miles per hour. Can we do another storm track on that? I want to see what the estimated time of arrival is in Franklin. Yeah, so Franklin 2:16, so yeah, 15 minutes, give or take, 5-10 minutes. So you want to be in your shelter long before 2:16, because sometimes these storms can speed up, sometimes they can slow down. And sometimes, too, with these rotating thunderstorms, they can even deviate in their motion. Right now, it's moving northeast, but sometimes they can veer off to the right. We call them right-moving supercells, and that'll be something to watch just outside of the Channel 2 coverage area. So I think right now we can give not necessarily all clear right now for Tangipahoa Parish. Most of Tangipahoa Parish we can. There's no problem along the I-55 corridor, but I believe the tornadic circulation is moving east of the parish line right now. And frankly, based on the latest velocity image, it doesn't jump out to me as being the most concerning. But again, you see those purples right there. That's something called range folding. I won't get into the specifics of that, but there's a little bit of contamination right there, which makes it a little bit harder to read. But that tornado warning continues outside of the Channel 2 coverage area into Washington and St. Tammany parishes. Let's go back to our northern cell. That's also about to move out of our coverage area too, but I believe right now the main issue would be near the Amite-Pike County line in Mississippi. This is going to approach the I-55 corridor before too long. And Balin, if we could we put the velocity scope on there?
Yes.
I'd like to see if, yeah, that's the area in question. That might be the last radar scan. We should get another one very shortly. But I would suspect that that area of rotation is very shortly going to cross into Pike County. But Magnolia, you're going to have problems very shortly due to this. And my hope is that this spins down. It doesn't tighten up anymore, but sometimes you can see that with these cells where they spin up and spin down. It's a very favorable environment, too, for tornadoes. Macomb, even watch out for this one. You are within that tornado warning polygon. You're within it for a reason, especially as this takes a northeastward motion. Got to keep a very close eye on this. Travelers along I-55 between Osika and Macomb, you don't want to be on the roads right now. So let's broaden out the view once again. I believe we're going to be able to wrap up this coverage again for at least in a couple of minutes here once we can finally confirm that the threats have exited our coverage area. Those are the only two warnings in progress right now. The tornado warnings in effect for Amite and Pike counties and also Tangipahoa, St. Tammany, and Washington parishes. Then there's this activity to the west. We need to watch these cells down here closely, especially as they move north of I-12, as any one of them could flare up into something stronger. Balin, if you could talk on the tornado watch for just a second, we can pull that up too.
Yeah, we have a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch, which is pretty rare, extending all the way down into Iberville, Ascension, St. James parishes, and everywhere else to the north until 6 p.m. on Saturday. And with these PDS tornado watches, it's basically saying there is a high probability of tornadoes in the watch area, and also that these tornadoes could have a strong to potentially violent signature. That means EF2 to EF3 plus, and potentially even pushing the EF4 range. So that's why we have been saying all day long, you don't want to play around with these tornado warnings. We're not talking about brief week tornadoes. We're talking about potentially strong to violent tornadoes with all these storms that are moving throughout the area. This will go into effect through around 6 p.m. today. So make sure you are staying very weather aware throughout the rest of the evening. We still got this one storm. It looks like at least the rotation just now crossing county lines there. Yeah, it looks like it's made it just past Amite County, just to the eastern side. Malcolm circling that rotation. Yeah, you can see it right there, about to approach Magnolia. We don't have confirmation that this is on the ground just yet, but at least for now, it looks like that it is exiting our coverage area.
You can see a hook there, Balin. Until this crosses the I-55 corridor, because I know many people may have friends and family out in that direction, I want to stay on this storm, even though it is technically outside of our coverage area. But some people might have interests out in that direction, so we'll continue to cover it while it's in some more populated sections of Pike County. I-55 corridor, nobody needs to be traveling on there right now. Again, tornadoes almost toss cars around like Hot Wheel cars. So I-55 between Osyka and Magnolia is doing is in a very dangerous situation right now. I think at this point, I'm fairly confident in saying that the rotation is not going to go up towards Macomb. Magnolia needs to watch this closely, and I think later on down the line, the Highway 98 and Highway 51 corridor, that would be a place to watch as well. At this time, for the southern cell, the threat, I think, is over for Tangipahoa Parish, so I think we can give the all clear for Tangipahoa Parish now, but this is the third tornado warning we have covered today in Tangipahoa Parish. And just broadening out the view once more, there's more storms off to the southwest, and they're kind of moving in an east-northeast fashion. So, I mean, there's a decent chance we might see a couple more warnings. That tornado watch is in place, and that's why we want you watching for warnings. I will say, as I mentioned moments ago, one thing going for us is that we have that line of thunderstorms as opposed to a more cellular structure, Balin.
Yeah, we could potentially still see some spin-ups in this line here, but especially with that strong to violent tornado threat, it's really going to be with those isolated cells like we're seeing now entering or about to enter Franklin. This line, yeah, definitely could pose a tornado threat. We're going to have to watch as this moves out towards the east or potentially intensifies. Still tracking this tornado warning. Just left Amite County, now entering Pike County just south of Magnolia. We're now bringing up velocity, it's basically just looking at the speeds of the winds in which direction that they are moving. These bright red colors that is moving away from our radar that is currently located in Hammond. Got some slight shades of blue in there as well. That would indicate some weaker winds that is moving towards the radar.
Here, I'll put up the storm relative velocities. That might be able to show it a little clearer. Yeah, that definitely shows it clearer.
That definitely shows it more clear there. This basically all it does is takes away the storm motion, so you can more easily clearly see any rotation that is in the storm.
It shows the motion within the storm itself as opposed to the motion in the storm plus the movement of the storm.
Yes, exactly. And that's why it's easier to see the rotation. Still definitely rotating. See those winds clearly moving away from the radar towards the radar. In between, this is where we could potentially have a tornado. I'm not seeing any sort of tight couplets at this moment that would indicate there is 100% a tornado on the ground. We don't have any sort of confirmation yet, but I mean, this could happen in an instant, just given this rotational signature. The next radar scan, it could be on the ground, so you need to prepare.
There is Magnolia. Wow.
Yeah, it's right on top of you, Magnolia. You got to be in your safe space right now. You cannot play around with these storms. If you find
seconds,
yourself,
not minutes.
Yeah, if you find yourself near an exterior wall or window, that is not a safe place at all, and that's how you could potentially lose your life. If a tornado is on the ground, you got to be in that lowest floor, most interior room. Malcolm.
Yeah, and there's a lot of rain in the area. The radar signatures are very cluttered, but that's where the threat is now in Pike County, and this is soon going to move into more rural sections. But between Tylertown, which has experienced a tornado earlier today, and Macomb, this is a highway we would not advise travel on due to the fact that we might have a tornado in progress right now. So I-55, I believe, if the tornado is occurring with this, it would have already passed through, and now it is moving east into Magnolia and surrounding areas and continuing northeast. Let's go back to that southern storm for just a second, Balin, because Franklinton having some issues down there. Moving out, again, no issues for Tangipahoa Parish anymore, but let's zoom back into that. And let's see, zoom in a little tighter for me, Balin. Let's see, yeah, Franklinton, right there. I will say the radar signature isn't quite as impressive. Can we pull up the velocities?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, there's a little broad rotation right there. Red velocities indicating. Actually, pull up storm relative velocities. That might jump out at us a little bit easier. Yeah, it's broad. That's a good thing. We hope it doesn't tighten up, but there is some broad rotation approaching Franklinton. Still a tornado warning in effect, so if you know anybody in Franklinton, they need to be in their tornado shelters now. Another situation where they would have seconds and not minutes to take shelter. So that is getting outside of the Channel 2 coverage area. The other storm is getting outside of the Channel 2 coverage area as well. I hear a new printout, Balin. Is there anything?
Yeah, this is a flash flood warning for southwestern East Baton Rouge Parish and east central West Baton Rouge Parish, where we have seen between 1 to 2 inches of rain and additional amounts up to 1 inch are possible in the area.
Yeah, let's just pull that radar perspective up for just a second so we can show, because remember how we were talking about that line of thunderstorms? Well, they're all moving in a southwest to northeast fashion, and this line is oriented in a southwest to northeast fashion. So a lot of rain falling in a short amount of time, just a couple of inches, and maybe a span of maybe an hour or two, and especially in an urban setting where we've got more concrete, more runoff issues, maybe some poor drainage flooding right now. Again, that's a base flash flood warning until 4:15. So in the Baton Rouge area, be extra cautious if out and about driving. All right, so I think with the tornadic threat moving out of the Channel 2 coverage area, we're going to wrap up our coverage here, and I'm going to go to this graphic right here. We are continuing to track the dangerous weather as it moves through the capital area. If any new warnings come about, many of us are tracking it. Balin and myself, of course, are here in studio. Josh is giving additional updates and analysis online and on social media. It is our promise to you at the Storm Station that as long as there is a storm threat to any of our covered parishes and counties, we will cut into programming and give you the latest information. We'll keep an eye on things at the Storm Station, but for now, we'll send it back to regular programming.
Injured on the job and can't work? At Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, we know how to take on the tough workers' compensation cases. We'll fight to make them pay. Injured on the job and can't work? We're ready to go to work for you. Just call me. Get it done.
Here's our new store. Every mattress you see is on sale now. We have queen